Brother, I wanted to tell you something that took me working one of the worst jobs of my life to finally understand. The bar is low, lower than you think, and most of the people you are competing against have already given up. I know that sounds harsh, but I watched it happen every single day for 6 months. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. In 2023, I took a job in local government picking up trash, cleaning bathrooms, and changing garbage bags at parks. I had a baby on the way, I had just been laid off from a software development job, and I needed income. This wasn't a career move, it was survival. I showed up because I had to. But what I found when I got there changed how I see everything. The job itself was straightforward: drive to a park, clean the bathrooms, pick up the trash, move to the next one, do it again tomorrow, and do it again the day after. There wasn't a whole lot to it. On a 100-degree day, holding bags of garbage with no shade, I tell myself, this is temporary. This is temporary. This is temporary. And I genuinely hated it. But I showed up every day and I did the job right. I did this because I decided that whatever I was doing, I was going to do it well. I didn't care that it was picking up trash. I wanted my parks to be the best kept in the entire department. I developed a route that let me cover the most ground in the least time. I made sure that when anyone said my name, they couldn't say a single bad thing about the quality of my work. That's it. That was my whole strategy. Show up, do it right, every single day. Now, here's what I was watching while doing all of this. Most of my coworkers fell into one of two categories: the young person working their first or second job, just passing time, or the person who had found a comfortable floor, a steady paycheck, just enough to get by, nothing more. And both types share the same approach to the workday: clock in, look busy, do just enough so the park doesn't look like a disaster, and then clock out and repeat. I'm not saying this to judge them, I understand it. When you've been in a job long enough and nothing has changed, a certain kind of resignation sets in. The effort stops feeling worth it. You do the minimum and you go home. But here's what that actually created for me: I wasn't competing against talent people. I wasn't competing against driven people. I wasn't even competing against people who were trying particularly hard. I was competing against people who had quietly stopped caring. And all I had to do to stand out was care, even a little bit. About 2 months in, I did something that had nothing to do with my job description. After my shift, I'd go home and spend my evenings building a web application. Not for myself, but for my team. It was a tool that would let my coworkers and any new employees navigate between parks more efficiently. It mapped out the optimal route through each location so you could complete the most work in the least amount of time, depending on where you were assigned that day. Nobody asked me to do this. It wasn't something to get me paid more in my current position. I just saw a problem that needed solving and I knew I could solve it, so I did. I also asked my supervisor for more work. I told him my current responsibilities weren't keeping me busy enough and I wanted to contribute to other teams so I could build additional skills. Nothing came of that specific request, but I knew I was planting a seed. I knew he was watching. I knew that the way you work when nothing is on the line is the thing people remember when something is. 6 months in, a position opened up: better pay, more skilled work, plumbing, electrical, irrigation, woodworking, general maintenance. On paper, I wasn't qualified. I had minor woodworking experience and that was it. But I applied anyway. I prepared for an entire week: interview questions, research on the position, tips from current employees. I went in and did an awesome job. 3 weeks later, I got the call and I got the job. And here's the thing that hit me when I found out: it wasn't actually all that hard, to be honest. I didn't do anything extraordinary. I didn't work 18-hour days. I didn't sacrifice my health or my family or my sleep. I just did my job well consistently and asked for more when I had the capacity. That's the whole story. The reason it worked was because of what I was competing against. The bar wasn't high. Most people around me had stopped trying. They were doing the minimum and going home. For the most part, I was doing a little more than the minimum and then going home. That gap between the minimum and a little more than the minimum was enough. And I think about that a lot now, not just in that job, but everywhere. In careers, in relationships, in anything that requires showing up repeatedly over time. The people who succeed aren't always the most talented or the most connected or the most, credentialed. A lot of the time, they're just the ones who kept caring after everyone else stopped. Most people face a challenge and let it defeat them. They pull back, they settle, they do just enough. That becomes your competition, not the exceptional person, the person who gave up. I was a guy picking up garbage and cleaning bathrooms. I went home and built software for my team because I saw a problem. I asked for more work when I had the capacity. I showed up the same way every single day, regardless of how I felt about the job. And honestly, all that was just not quitting. And in most places you will ever work, in most rooms you will ever be in, that is still enough to stand out.